Recorded live in Balcatta, Western Australia, the hoon capital of the world, this is Talkin' Power.
Gap is what happens when you hold to the floor and crush the man next to you. There's space in between your back bumper and your front bumper. We, in the South, we refer to it as the gap band.
Well, I think, Formula One is for grown-ups.
Shut the grade on this one, Rex. It's the guts.
When we start following the move, go and rattle the players, we're gonna get down the chairs!
Yes, listen, please, 51 words.
Good evening, you guys.
So, what about the sideways? You've got a race in your own lane. Now he's on the grass, he brings it back. That's a great driving there.
Torque and Power, your motoring and motorsport podcast.
Episode 50 of the Talk and Power podcast. We're starting up the Hemi.
When you're ready. That sounds better.
Yeah, I know. I didn't mean to do that. It's just that because it was the way it was.
Hey everyone, look, this podcast is a little bit different. As you heard, episode 50, we started up the Simon's car, so that's running now and hasn't been running for
5 years. 5 years has been parked up. And what, Nick, the number 5, what a perfect way to celebrate our 50th podcast.
50th podcast. So we've
50th. Well, actually, maybe it's
here.
the 40th. Could be the 40th now.
We've got a candle
Just
out
let me
here.
relight this. What a perfect way to celebrate by getting B.A. Baracus back out. Now a member of the Small Time Mafia.
Yeah, you are. You are the member of the Small Time Mafia. And if you watch some of the videos, you will see me absolutely crapping my dacks, shooting through the doorway when I saw that massive flame pop out of the exhaust. But that's all right. So look, pretty excited about that. But anyway, let's just get through the formalities. And thanks a lot, Simon. 50 episodes. Well done.
Nick, thank you. Thanks for inviting me to be part of this. I know you've lost a lot of followers because of it, but hey,
dreaming.
You've probably picked up a lot more.
Yeah, we have picked up a lot, and thanks to all of our viewers. Let's just blow out these candles.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Thought they were trick candles there for a minute.
So yeah, we'll just cut that and we'll break.
Don't touch the bottom.
No, we won't. I won't touch the bottom. It will break here for a minute. We'll serve some. We've got Asher here. He's standing behind the camera. We've got David over there.
Yeah.
We had Brent. My apologies. I forgot to do this. We had Brenton here, Scott as well, Travis here, and they've since left, unfortunately. So sorry, guys. You're missing out on some.
You'll have to keep some cake for the 16th.
Yeah. The 16th of February, if you don't know what we're referring to there. So cannot wait. So there it is. But all right, we'll have some cake and we'll be back in 5.
See you on the street.
See ya. Okay, that cake was absolutely delicious, if I may say so myself.
You spin me right round, baby, right round, like a record spinning right round, right round.
You know I'm going to leave that in.
You probably will.
All right, thanks for everyone joining us. This is a bit of a different podcast. We are literally outside. They probably can't tell from the video, but we are outside. We're just outside your roller
From here,
door.
I can't even see the camera.
But we are outside of your workshop.
Happy 50th.
Yeah, same to you. I'm the 50th, so it's our 50th podcast. We're doing this one a little bit differently because tonight we actually started Simon's B.A. Baracus. That's been started for the first time in 5 odd years.
5 years, yep.
And I must say it's a credit to yourself and the crew that's been working on this
you
car.
know, I know the guys listen to the show, watch the show.
Yeah.
And big shout out to all the crew that have worked so hard to get the car together. George, yeah. Travis Freeman.
Yep, Travis.
Dave Narella.
Yep.
Yourself.
Oh, I haven't done much.
You've done a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Set the cameras up and stuff. Brought cake.
I think I put the burst panels on the wrong way around.
But no, you didn't. No,
is that right?
Yeah, they were all good.
Maybe
They were
George fixed it before.
No. I went and checked it all because George was saying, you know, Nick seems to think he put them. But anyway, no, they weren't.
Okay,
they
well,
weren't.
there you go. I did something right.
And Vaughan.
Yeah, Vaughan as well.
He's put up with Cranky Me.
Yep. But I know you love him. You do.
But you can't say that, or maybe you can these days.
No,
is that PC?
No, I don't.
I remember when
like
PC
that.
used to mean something else. But anyway, that's another story.
But he's a good kid.
He is
he's
a good kid.
So
Good kid.
yeah, no. We like
So we finally got it going,
Yep.
which means we're one step closer to running it at the 16th. It's been touch and go.
Yep.
But we had a few little problems tonight, and you know what? I'm glad that we had them tonight rather than on the 16th because things like that switch failing or the neutral safety switch and all those little things, you know, they can be a real pain in the butt when you're at the track.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and Nick, what a huge weekend it was.
It was a massive weekend, and a shout out to Anthony Begley and Matt Abel.
Yes.
Thankfully, they're okay.
Yes. If you guys didn't check that out, go to the Motorplex highlights reel. Incredible footage to see one Nitro Funny Car blow up, but two, one on the start line, one on the finish line. You know, tragic. The speed talk crew. You know, really, really tragic because no one wants to see anyone break their gear.
No.
Same with the Chemical Brothers, the Baileys there.
Yep.
They don't really want to see them chemical warfare. I should say,
Chemical
not
warfare.
the Chemical Brothers.
They're a band.
Are they? No, the comedians, are they?
Oh, okay. All right.
Anyway. Oh, no, they are a band, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah. Anyway, no one wants to see them. No one wants to see anyone blow up. That was a bad blow up.
That was huge. And unfortunately, right or wrong, Anthony will be remembered. He won't be remembered for just that, but that photo will make its way around the world, and we'll see that photo for many years to come from Phil Lawyer, that one.
Yeah. Incredible shot.
Yeah.
Phil does some outstanding photography down there.
He does. He does a magnificent job. And it actually made, and this is when you know, I always have a little bugbear. It actually made Channel 7 News as well.
It made Channel 10. I didn't know it made 7.
Yeah, it made 7 as well. It made 7 on Monday night, not
So
Sunday
you'd
night.
expect it to make 7 because the track's sponsored by 7.
Yeah, but it's always done in a, you know, right at the end of the news, and this in from the Motorplex Nitro Funny Cars. This was funny. No, it
wasn't funny
it's
at
not
all.
funny for anyone at all.
No,
so
particularly not Begley. or Matt Abel.
No, so we'll try and get Anthony on. I'll reach out to him in the coming days and see if we can have him on and just have a quick chat. So yeah, no, that's quite a shame.
But on the other side of the fence, the second Speed Talk car, also built and tuned by Rory Taylor, when gangbusters, winning 2 out of 3, nearly winning the first run, but new driver had only licensed a couple of days before, and had never run on a pro tree.
Yeah, okay.
So. I'm not sure. I think he was racing Catavardis.
Yep.
And Catavardis got him on a big hole shot. So, but consistent 570s, I believe.
Yeah, okay.
So put on a show for the crowd. And I tell you what, bang for buck.
Literally.
Literally.
The crowd looked pretty good, actually, as well.
It was good. It's good to see people are coming back.
Yeah, no, it certainly did. It was not a bad crowd at all.
So, Nick, a bit of controversy. I don't know if you heard or not.
I haven't heard officially. You mentioned it to me when I came here tonight, I haven't heard.
So the Summer Slam, Gregorini into the 570s now, consistently into the 570s. Great to see that team. You know, they've put a huge amount of effort into that car.
Yep.
Final against Zap.
Yep.
Red light.
Yeah.
Red light. Now, I've seen the video. I'm not going to make any comments, but you know. The car didn't leave the start line, like it wasn't a red light because it left the start line. I'm not saying that it wasn't a red light, But
Yep.
so a bit of controversy there. As a result of that, a bit more controversy. See, for those of you that follow Top Doorslammer, you'll notice that some cars now that run in the Thunder 400 series run auto shift.
Yep.
So basically, as the famous video by I've forgotten his name now, the famous chassis builder.
Oh, Tim McCannis.
Tim McCannis, that's it. About Cheetos and cool drinks and waving to the crowd.
And redneck. I can't say the rest of it. That's my favourite.
Anyway, the auto shift was voted down.
Yep.
I'm no longer a competitor in Top Doorslammer,
Yep.
so I don't have any voting rights in the Top Doorslammer Association. But it went to vote twice, Australian Top Doorslammer Association, and it was voted down twice by the Australian Top Doorslammer Association. But for some reason, whatever the reason might be, Thunder 400 decided to bring it in to allow the auto shift.
Yep.
And as such, the Thunder series that's been running on the East Coast at the IHRA tracks, some drivers do run the auto shift. But in WA, we have an Andra track.
That's right, yep.
And a bit of controversy as to whether the auto shift is legal or not. So I've been told, I wanted to get clarification on this. So I've been told that they gave special dispensation because the Summer Slam series that we run at the Kwinana Motorplex is not an Andra series. It's the Motorplex's own series. Andra has given special dispensation to racers using the auto shift.
Yep.
But the thing is, we are fast approaching the Westernationals.
We are. And in case people haven't heard, the Westernationals is now an Andra Group 1 event.
Woo!
We are going to have Top Doorslammer and Top Bike as a Group 1 event at the Westernationals.
Which we should have always had that.
Thank God for that. And look, the people that have been complaining on social media that there hasn't been a Group 1 feature event at the Motorplex, please get down to the Motorplex and support this event.
This is back to the old days.
You wanted it, it's here.
Yeah. And you know what? It's going to be a good event.
Oh, it'll be huge.
It'll be huge.
It'll be huge.
Definitely. So anyway, the question is now, is Andra going to allow the auto shift? Now, we record the show on a Tuesday night, as many of our followers know.
Yep.
They're actually voting on it tonight, I believe.
Right, okay. Yep.
So by the time this goes out, that everyone will know what's happening, whether auto shift is allowed or not.
Yeah, okay.
I think the discussion that I had today, the thing is that what has always made Top Doorslammer exciting is how out of control the cars can be sometimes, and the fact that some drivers are more out of control than the cars.
Yeah,
they'll just pedal it to the end. They don't care how many times they stab that throttle, as long as they get to that finish line first. And that's what makes for something exciting for the crowd to watch.
Yeah,
and go back in the early days with Brett Stevens and Peter Kapiris. Brett Stevens doing a wheel stand as 3/4 track. It was incredible. The thing is, you watch a modern Doorslammer now running a 570 like an American car with the auto shift and a torque converter lockup and the this and the that and blah, blah, blah. And they're starting to get boring to watch. And Pro Stock went through this evolution. So if you go back in the 70s and 80s of Pro Stock, they used to do decent wheel stands, and then people, realised that, well, hang on, if we stop the front end from coming up, we'll go faster. Yeah. And they became to the point where if the car even twitches slightly, the driver just gets off, shuts it down.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Me personally, I liked it in its heyday, and I think it's pretty funny that there's a lot of noise about the radial racing, and people talk about how out of control it is, and that's why it's exciting to watch. Well, we used to have that with Doorslammer, and they were a lot faster as well.
That's right. Yep.
So, I don't know. I think that Andra will allow it, my personal opinion, simply because they want to attract as many East Coast racers to the Westernationals as possible and make it a big event. And, rightly so. I guess for me right now, I would rather see Andra succeed, then any personal opinion I have about the rules. If that's what it's going to take, then do it.
Of course, that's right, exactly. In this situation, we certainly want the Andrew to succeed, and we want a big crowd down there. People have been asking for it. A Group 1 event. You've got it. Here it is. Get down there.
Yeah.
And just as I'm saying that, I won't be there. I'll be at Racewars.
Yeah, he's going to be at Racewars. Ironically, he's going to be at Racewars. But
sorry to all our fans.
Providing we survive the 16th, providing we make the 16th and survive the 16th, we'll be there.
Yeah, look,
we'll be supporting the TNP fraternity.
Yes, so Simon will be at on the 16th. So come down and see us on the 16th. All going well. At the Motorplex, that's the 16th of February. And then also, all going well, Simon will be back there on the Labor Day long weekend for the Westernationals. I will be at Racewars in Albany. Please, if you're going to Albany, you're going to Racewars, come and say hello.
Definitely.
I will be having an exhibitor stand, and I will be floating about doing interviews as well. But please make yourself available and say hello. Grab a sticker, grab a brochure. I will be there.
Now, speaking of Racewars, I've heard of some really hard-hitting cars. I believe that there's a few people trying for the 400-kilometre club.
Yeah, I've heard the same, but it's a significant jump from where we're at. Eddie's record is 336.
Yeah.
400 is another, a lot of horsepower on top of that.
If I've done the maths, you're probably going to need about 22 to 2,500 horsepower.
Jeez. Yep. Yeah. Okay.
It's... I think it's achievable.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. I know that there's a lot of other guys that are gunning for around the 330K mark.
Yep.
So, everyone's kind of pushing it a bit harder.
Yeah.
I've got a visit from one of the staff of one of the radial races. Apparently they're building a new motor for their car.
Yep.
To try and push the radial record a bit harder. I believe that Mazzatelli, he's got his new engine, went like 1,700 at the tyres, so that should be good to see out on the track. So there's a lot happening in motorsports in WA, particularly in the drag racing and the flying mile or flying kilometre scene. So it's sad that the two events fall on the same date, but if you can't get it to the Motorplex, get down to Albany because they're both going to be awesome events.
Yeah, can't wait. I can't wait for both of them. Looking forward to seeing the guys down there. And Eddie, have you spoken with Eddie at all? Is he up the ante?
I can't talk about anything.
Okay, so that's yes, he has, and
no, it's secret. All right, can't even. You need to edit this out. It's got to be gone. Okay.
Okay, so edit here. Boop. So no, he hasn't spoken with Eddie.
No, we've had no discussions. No, nothing about it.
Hey, so the other thing, Bathurst 12 Hour, we're going to catch up with Todd after this as well. He's our man on the ground. He was down there. Tristan was down there as well from WTF Autos. So I'm catching up with Todd on Friday, and we'll put that in the podcast as well. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, looking forward to the interview with Tristan as well.
Yeah, that's coming up next week
good.
as
Another
well.
Camry warrior.
He's I tell you what, it's getting. I don't know if you've seen. You probably don't because you don't go on social media. You're not a Facebook person. But it's getting pretty heated between the Racewar guys and the WTF Auto guys.
Oh, look, I'm going to back the Camry all the way.
Oh, so am I, of course. That's why we're getting Tristan on. But I tell you what, there is a bet happening.
Nick, I'll go as far as to say that if he needs a spare engine, we've got one. We've got an engine for you, ready to go.
But yeah, there's money. Look, I won't say money, but there's bets. But it was edited out of the video, so we don't know. But no, it's getting sheep stations.
Sheep stations.
Yeah.
They're going to do some NTR racing.
I don't know, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Tristan can pull out of the bag. It'll be interesting to see what their AU does as well. I don't think we spoke about it, but they had a massive tail shaft failure on the 2nd or 3rd of January.
They did.
Very lucky, actually. They were very lucky that no one was injured and that
car went very fast though.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it was on track for a 10, I believe. So
probably faster even.
Yeah. So they've upped the ante. And look, I've spoken with Jamie, and they're certainly got some big things planned for Racewars. I've got monster trucks down there, and
it's going to be an awesome event.
Yeah, no,
definitely. I wish I could come down with you, but you know, one of us has got to go to drags.
One of us has to race, and if people that know me know that that's not me. All right, Simon. Look, we'll catch up with Todd now, and we'll cut to Todd on this podcast. But look, thanks for everything. 50 episodes.
I know, it's incredible.
It is, and much appreciated. We're really moving along now, and the ratings are going well. So,
thanks for having us on, Nick.
Yeah, no worries. And we'll catch up with Tristan. And thanks everyone for tuning in.
We'll cut the cake a bit later too.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah. All right, I'll see you then.
Right,
I'll be
care.
back for that.
See yous.
All right, we've got Todd Brinkworth, who is our man on the ground down at the Bathurst 12-hour this year. Thanks for coming on, Todd, and we really appreciate your time.
Yeah, g'day, Nick. How you going?
Oh, very well, very well. And look, we really appreciate your time. And you're actually the inaugural ground reporter for Talk and Power podcast. So welcome aboard.
No worries. Thank you. So,
hey, Todd, just tell us a bit about. I mean, I know you're pretty. Simon speaks very highly of you. You're pretty close to a lot of races. You've been following a number of disciplines over the years in motorsport. So just give us a brief rundown on yourself before we get stuck into the Bathurst 12-hour.
Yeah, mainly a big fan of motorsport. Just sort of, I guess you say a coattail rider, but a helper.
Yep.
For a lot of various guys in the WA motorsport scene. Hill climb, circuit racing. Even got into sprint cars every now and then at Kwinana. I've been looked at drag racing, done media for drag racing, hot rod shows. Yeah, I can't even think of what else I've actually done, to tell you the truth. But if it has a engine in it, I'm normally there and I can enjoy it. So.
No, that's excellent. It's a lot like myself, really. I've never actually participated, with the exception of a couple of Wednesday night meets down the track. But people like yourself and myself, we're on the ground and we like to tell the stories, I guess, and get the stories out there. So, no, we really appreciate you coming on, Todd. Look, I know you're pretty close to some of the WA guys at the Bathurst 12-hour. Just tell us a little bit about the Combined Sedans. They had 3 races over the weekend over there. Can you tell us a bit about Denver and Bradley?
Yeah, sure. So Denver had the R33, commonly referred to as the land whale.
Yep.
He was over there for the second year this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there primarily to spectate and sort of help him out if need be and bits and pieces.
Yep.
And Brad had his S15 over there for the first time this year.
Yeah, okay.
Which is a well-sorted piece of equipment, basically.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So both those cars, tell us a bit about their combined sedans. What are some of the regulations there?
It's very mixed compared to sort of WA racing, if you ask me. They fall into what I'd call a street car category locally,
yep. Mm-hmm.
where it's they have a roll cage and a pretty powerful motor in them and still barely comply to road legal type scenarios.
Yep.
And a lot of them are very fast. And then there's also a sort of TA2 category they race with.
Yeah.
And they are full tube-framed, space-framed, what do you want to call them, V8s.
Yep.
Bit of metal over the top. And it's quite a sight to see that a couple of combined sedan guys can actually hold their own and just chip away and not scare, but keep up with the TA2 guys. So it's interesting to see.
Yeah.
So,
look, I must admit, I was surprised as well, because I saw that actually they were racing against TA2, and I was taken aback by that actually, because I thought TA2 was, in my opinion, my opinion, should have been the category that V8 supercars should have adopted here once Falcon and Commodore were gone. I see a real future in TA2, to be frank, but to have those cars racing against them, I must admit I take my hat off to them.
Yeah, actually, we had the same conversation last year, especially the Mustang and the Camaro. I'm like, well, this will make a great new V8 supercar, But yeah, I mean, besides Denver and Brad, a lot of the other local guys in the combined, well, it was combined New South Wales sports sedans.
Yep.
They did really well, and there wasn't any. Well, I think there was one or two cars that wouldn't fall into the 110% rule that weren't quite on the pace.
Yep.
But to have two cars out of, I think, 30 odd, that's not a bad effort. Like that's a lot of guys. It's a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of time into cars to get there and be on point. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, Denver Parker, I don't really know him myself. So he's the Drone Oz All-Star Garage Nissan Skyline. So he came 18th, I think, in race 1. I've got him. I don't think he finished in race 2, and I've got him in at 20th on race 3. So it's not a bad effort, actually.
No, that's correct. Yeah, we had some. I mean, race 1. Hats off again to Denver and Brad. It was absolutely cooking at Bathurst that day.
Yeah.
Poor Denver had no cool suit, and we literally pulled him from the car and poured water over him. He was that hot.
Yep.
Race 2, he had an electrical gremlin, which
Yep.
was a fallen wire, and he died out of turn 1 going up the hill, so to speak.
Yep.
With basically, I think, 1 lap to go, and he would have finished the race.
Yeah, okay.
So to see him get back into the places in race 3, it's just an awesome effort. And you also add to the fact he did a 225 across the top of the hill at one point, which is pretty flying for a combined sports sedan. So,
it certainly is, actually. I mean, just to quantify that, let's quantify that for our listeners. A V8 supercar, I think the lap record Scotty McLaughlin holds is a 2:04. So he's just over 20 seconds off the lap record from Scotty McLaughlin, which. And if people don't know or listeners aren't aware, Bathurst is actually 6.2 kilometres. It's not a like Barbagallo Raceway where it's just over a kilometre. It's quite a significant distance. So to be 21 seconds off the record pace, that's astounding. That is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So.
And also Bradley Cuss as well. He did quite well. He came 15th. I see he had a is that right? Yeah, DNF in race 1, came 18th in race 2, and also came 15th, which is pretty stout in race 3. So he's going quite well.
Yeah, and he had some dramas with alternators, basically. Again, heat related and some other bits and pieces. Of course, he had an alternator issue in race 1.
Mm-hmm.
And in his own words, he had a Code Brown moment through the cutting with no power steering after the electrics went out on him.
I bet he would.
For him to get back into the pits and keep the car in one piece, yeah, hats off. And I know he's personally made mention, thanks to Andrew at Hyperdrive here, for getting the car back and sorted and, on the road so quickly, so to speak. So.
Yeah, and a great company based in Malaga in Western Australia that are doing a great job for a lot of these cars, a lot of these sorts of JDM cars in Western Australia. So hats off to the team at Hyperdrive, which were incidentally just down the road from where we were recording the other night.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So.
Hey Todd, I just want to get your thoughts as well. I don't know if it was brought to your attention while you were there during the practice of the 12-hour cars. So I'm not sure if it was a Class A car, but Tim Pappas crashed exiting the chase, and 2 fans actually came. I don't want to say to his rescue, but from the video that I've seen, they were certainly the first on, and they were there for a significant amount of time. They grabbed a fire extinguisher from a close by attendant and put the fire out, but long before any marshals got there. Were you able to see that, or did you have any commentary about that?
Unfortunately, it was out of my field of view. Yep. I was sort of around the back of the mountain at the time. We did talk about it a fair bit, and I must admit I was a bit surprised because there was a lot of marshals there. It was a very well put together event.
Yeah.
So to have a couple of locals having to run over to the car, it was basically a bit of a shock.
Yeah.
And I know between myself and, of course, the racers that I was with on the weekend, we kind of asked a few questions to certain people, and there was a general, we're not sure how that happened, but it shouldn't happen again type scenario. So yeah, that's about all I can sort of add on to that one.
Yeah. No, definitely. It was just interesting watching it from here, and the live feed over the net was excellent, I must say. I'll add that as well. But I saw that in the highlights package, and as I said, those guys, the video that I saw was actually shot from another spectator. And I must say they were there for a significant amount of time putting the flames out while Tim appeared to struggle to get out of the car. But anyway, well, hats off to Trevor Jackson and Bob Riverman. So hats off to them. They were the two spectators that jumped the fence and did that. I mean, we don't condone that, of course, but in this situation, I actually feel it was kind of justified.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, look, we'll get on to qualifying for Class A anyway. So it was amazing to see the Aston Martin actually grabbed pole, but they were given a penalty for speeding in pit lane. Talk about an anticlimax to qualifying. So he got a 2-spot grid penalty. That was Jake Dennis in the Aston Martin Vantage Motorsport team. Rafael Marcelliano, he in the Mercedes AMG started the race from the front row. Triple Eight during the week was saying they were amazed by they weren't particularly impressed with their lack of pace during the weekend. What was the commentary around that? Do you know much about that, Todd?
Yeah, I spent the actual top 10 qualifying up in McPhillamy Park and through the S's, making sure I got a lot of photos and just being there on the ground, so to speak. Yeah. But it was disappointing not to see Triple Eight in, top 10 essentially, or sort of falling out of the pace. But it was a very strange scenario. Their pit garage seemed very relaxed, even though the car was off pace. So I managed to actually walk past and sort of have a quick photo with Craig Lowndes. And
awesome. The obligatory photo, Lounsey.
Yeah, but they didn't seem to be very, very stressed, which surprised me. And then the other funny part was during practice on the Saturday afternoon, I actually had Van Gisbergen standing next to me.
Oh, wow.
And again, they were just standing there having a chat about the car with the team, going, oh, it's a bit slow across the top of the hill. And I almost fell over sideways when they were just talking about it so offhandedly. So they probably not like me saying this on air, but they seemed to be just the car will come to us was the general statement. Yeah. And it did on race day, but it took a long time to come to them, and I think they left the run a bit late, unfortunately.
Van Gisbergen brought the car home, as we know. Look, we'll touch on SVG now while we're talking about it. He brought the car home at the end of the race, and it was an amazing charge from him. He got the car up to fourth, and arguably, I think if he wasn't having his dramas with the with the brake and his leg cramps, I reckon they were a real contender for third, actually, to be honest. We saw some unsettling scenes as Shane pulled the car up at the end of the race where he actually collapsed. I don't know if you saw that, Todd, at all?
Yeah, I actually saw it on the big screen, so to speak. We spent the majority of the day on top of the hill viewing it all. And it was actually a bit sad to see because I think Van Gisbergen is a great driver, but he absolutely just murdered that car almost towards the end of the day. And you could see him absolutely gutted, and I felt a bit sorry for the poor guy at the end of the day. So,
no, it was an amazing finish for Shane Van Gisbergen, but it was the Earl Bamber New Zealand entry of Matt Campbell, Dick Werner, and Dennis Olsen that got the historic victory in a Porsche 911. Now, I could stand to be corrected, but according to me, that is the first time a Porsche has won in the race in the GT3, GT4 version of this race. I don't believe a Porsche has won before.
No, you're correct, as far as I know as well. Because I'm a bit of a Porsche fan.
Yep.
And even though I wanted to see the Bentley or the Aston win it, I was quite happy when Porsche won, and pretty much it was the last car left sort of thing in the Porsche field at the time.
Yeah.
He just a solid drive all day from Matt and just consistent. Like and that's how you get it. 12 hours of consistency will get you on the podium at the end. So
yeah, and look, I mean, Bathurst, the traditional Bathurst is the Bathurst 1000. We'll say is an example of that. You saw Craig Lowndes win it last year, and the car was straight. No scratches or dings or dents in it, and the same can be said for these guys as well. Matt Campbell, and I must admit, he gave it a red hot crack at the end there with the Monster with 30 minutes to go, and I think he gave it a real red hot crack right at the end of the race. This was actually, from my records as well, the longest running of this race. Well, not longest in time, but they got the most amount of laps in, so 312 laps. This is again GT3 in the GT3/GT4 history, from what I can see.
Yeah, we were sitting down at one point with a calculator, and a good friend of mine, Lockie, who was actually helping Denver that weekend, he had the calculator out and was actually doing a lot of numbers, and pretty much the commentary team said the same thing we said, and we went, we're on par to have the most amount of laps. This is quite exciting. So it's just awesome to see the guys. I mean, these are cars that do 300 laps on the mountain. It's phenomenal. Like, I don't know what more can be said, really. So, and it was hot. Like, I must add, it was a very hot weekend over the 12-hour, apparently one of the hottest on record. So to combine sports fans to make it through, and to, with the 12-hour guys, it's good effort.
Yeah,
so,
no, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to add a bit to Matt Campbell's finish to the race, he actually was in third, I think, with 30 minutes to go. He was still in second with 9 minutes to go, and on lap 307, he made his move to the lead, which was pretty tough move there. I believe it was in the cutting, not in the cutting, in Forest Elbow, as they were coming out onto Conrod Straight, where he made his move on Jake Dennis. So it was really great drive from he's Aussie too, Matt Campbell, even though he was in a New Zealand car.
Yeah, no, it was again, very exciting to see. We were watching it on the big screen as Motorbits, and there was actually cheering. Like, it was just awesome to watch. And nice and clean. Like, there was a bit of a little bit of bump and grind for 10 minutes to get the spot, but nothing out of place, nothing unsportsman. And then to grab it, and he just held it. It was phenomenal to see, and lots of cheering for him across the top of the mountain. So.
Yeah, I bet. Hey, Todd, I want to just touch base, if you've got time, about the Brabham BT62 that was driven by Luke Yulden on the weekend. Now, I don't know whether it's official or unofficial, but I'm going to say it here They did a 1 minute 58. Now, that is, in inverted commas, the unofficial lap record for Bathurst. Did you see that?
Yeah, we did. Again, we had to stop watches going because, race fans and all that. The sound it made, I must add, is phenomenal. It was nothing I've heard on this entire planet.
Yeah.
And it was fast, and what probably wasn't noted on the TV coverage, if it was on and all, was he kept it off the curbs. He wasn't even going up the curbs. He wasn't getting close to the walls. It was just a nice middle of the road, just get around the track, bring it home type scenario. And it was unofficially a 158, and that was absolutely flying. So from now, I believe they have to make it comply. It has to be restricted slightly, a fair bit. But there's a lot of talk about, well, even if I restrict that car, the pure chassis setup is just going to be an absolute screamer around there. So, and the right driver, it'll be very interesting to watch.
Yeah.
So I believe 2020 or 2021, they're planning on bringing that back in the category. So,
okay.
Yeah.
No, it was great to see. And as you said, the sound. I watched it on TV, obviously, but the sound it made was phenomenal, and it was really good to see. It was another side story to the whole event. Hey, Todd, look, just quickly, I want to touch base. Like, what are your thoughts on, like, I've been saying this for a little while off the podcast. Is this the future of? I know this will have it's growing in support in Australia, but my personal view is I see this as the future of motorsport in Australia as opposed to other categories. What do you think about it?
I'm kind of in the same boat as you and, even Simon, so to speak. I think Simon and I have had some conversations, again, off air about all this.
Yep.
The supercar category as it is, I think it's a bit plain and boring. I personally don't watch it much anymore. I only watch it twice a year, which is the Bathurst 1000 and normally the Adelaide round or Newcastle round at the end of the year, either sort of thing, because that's an exciting part, you know. I won't start the whole Project Blueprint argument at the moment, but I think it kind of did good and bad for the sport, so to speak.
Yep.
But yeah, I think the future definitely is. I mean, me personally, I don't care what you say. It's really nice to go see, well, it's amazing to go see Mercedes, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsches racing around an Australian track. And one bit I want to add is just actually simply going to Bathurst. It's my second year there, as I said. You have to go there. If you're a motorsports fan, you have to make the effort, go on a holiday and get there. To be there and see it firsthand is unparalleled. And, again, to hear European GT cars screaming around there, I'd go back and I'd pay money for it. And I know a lot of the diehards wouldn't, but I think, hey, they've got the money, they've got the cars, the whole town comes alive for the weekend. It's, the writing's on the wall. So
yeah, let's just take a look at the previous winners of this race since 2011, and we'll just talk through some of these cars. Audi R8 LMS, Mercedes SLS AMG, Ferrari 458 GT3, Nissan GTR GT3, McLaren 650 S GT3, Ferrari 488 GT3, Audi R8 LMS again, and Porsche, now this year, Porsche 911 GT3R. That's a pretty stout lineup, and for those listeners that don't understand, GT3 is a class of racing that I guess sort of was probably born in Europe, but I mean it's now been adopted pretty much by the world. And Le Mans, it's raced in Le Mans, it's raced in the US. Now it's quite a large following of this sort of racing in the US as well now, at Laguna Seca, Daytona. So yeah, I agree. I can really see the benefits of this sort of racing, and I think it's extremely exciting as well when we saw a race for 12 hours. And they were all those guys were on the same lap at the end. It's not as if one guy was 2 or 3 laps ahead, which is what you would think would happen after a 12-hour race.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think that in the end there was 9, maybe 8 cars in the lead lap still.
Yeah.
But there was no one that was, 3 or 4 laps down. It was maybe they were 2 laps down to a bad pit stop, or they were out of the race, which is pretty good. And you have to think, another thing that we probably didn't mention was it was one of the longest stints without a safety car at the Bathurst 12-hour in a few years, which added to the 300-plus laps.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. The other thing as well, which I didn't mention before, but a lot of people ask us, how does this race come about? This is actually promoted, or the promotion of this event since 2016 is now actually Supercars Australia. So its success, I guess, will always be questionable. I don't think it'll overtake the supercar category, but with them promoting it. But I still think that Australia should open its eyes to this form of motorsport, and not only just Australia, but I think the TV, not just the fans, but even the TV networks. Seven Mate did an excellent job. It actually, in saying that, I think it was actually on 7-2. I don't think it was on 7 Mate. I think it's a funny weekend where we have some other sports happening. The cricket's still happening. I think the AFLW had started. So there's a mixture of sports going on at the time in February. But if we could push this race back a month, I reckon that might be even better.
Yeah, I agree. I do think, though, from what I was speaking to some locals about, Bathurst is actually used sort of all year round.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people seem to think there's only 2 or 3 races there a year. That's it. No, there's something on almost every weekend, and I think it's a timing schedule, and it also allows, essentially the Supercars Australia drivers to get some seat time before their season officially starts.
Yeah, yep.
Which is always an interesting point of conversation, if you ask me. It's like, well, I know Bathurst is the end of the year for those guys, but hey, you've gone and done probably 100-plus laps of the Bathurst at the start of the year. Like, that's going to give you a good feeling, at least for the year. So you're going to know if you're on pace or not. So
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey Todd, look, is there anything else you want to add, or anything that we may have missed that we haven't covered yet?
Hats off to Raw Racing, which was Glenn, for taking the cars over.
Yep.
And also bringing them back in one piece. And just for interest's sake, all three cars, I think, drove out of the transporter on Tuesday.
Yep.
Denver then drove his car down to Kwinana, or trailered it down, and did the Falcon Rally Sprint last night.
Oh, wow.
And placed relatively well, which that's a good all-purpose race car, and sort of shows the build and the dedication that's gone into that car.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, and that's always a huge thing. People don't realise, they just assume that these cars get from one end of the country to the other uneventfully. Now, that's the case. That's what's happened in this situation. But, you know, you and I have heard 101 horror stories where cars get to the other end and they're not wrecked, but there's been damage in transport, or they've fallen in the transporter somehow, or something's fallen on top of them. Happens all the time. So, yeah, I don't think people appreciate how difficult it is to get a car from one side of the country to the other without a scratch on it. So that is a credit to those guys.
Yeah, no, it was really exciting to see. And, I mean, I basically sort of jumped in the car last night with Denver for 2 seconds and went, hang on, this was on the other side of the country, you know, three days ago.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. So,
yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Probably another one to add there is Travis Barnes, so Barnes Photography.
Yep.
He was actually the instigator for this last year, and was the ones that made the guys head over.
Yeah.
And was a big lead this year as well to get the guys over. And I mean, he's on Instagram and stuff like that as well. So
yeah, okay.
He took a lot of photos, and he was actually good help to me all weekend as well. Like just go take photos in this corner, and you'll learn something with his instructions. And he was on the money.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And also old Drone Oz, All-Star Garage, that was for Denver Parker, Newlon, ACM Electrical, Hyperdrive for Bradley Cuss, and Yasmet Steel Fabrications, Glenn Melling.
Thanks to Landwell Racing, so Denver personally for me. He's one that encouraged me to come over and sort of looked after me, and I looked after him, and it was kind of a mutual effort. So, yeah, and that's about it from me. So
okay, yeah. Well, look, Todd, we really appreciate your time on coming on the podcast. We really appreciate your efforts. Hopefully, we'll get some photos from you as well that we can put up on our page, and that'll be great. And we really appreciate your time, and thanks for being the inaugural Talk and Power podcast roving reporter.
All right, not a problem. Thank you, Nick, and thank you, Simon.
No worries.
All
right. Thanks, Todd.
Thanks. See ya.
Talk and Power stresses all characters and events on this podcast, even those based on real people, are entirely fictional. All celebrity voices are impersonated poorly. We do not encourage street racing or the use of turbochargers.